like you blinked, and the Korean entertainment industry turned upside down. Artists being exposed, careers plummeting, shocking accusations, and scandals that nobody expected, all of this in 2025. Today, you'll learn about the 5 biggest scandals that shook Korea this year. Prepare yourself, because not even the most perfect faces could hide from the truth. For years, Kim Se-ron was seen as one of the great promises of South Korean acting. Since childhood, she enchanted the public with a striking presence, expressive eyes, and a rare ability to convey emotion without saying a word. But what was supposed to be a brilliant trajectory became a tragedy. And in 2025, this tragedy reached its irreversible peak. Kim Se-ron was found dead in her apartment in Seoul in February. The police's main hypothesis was suicide. She was only 23 years old. The actress's death caught the entire industry by surprise. But those who had been following her life in recent years knew that Se-ron had been showing signs of suffering. In 2022, she was caught driving under the influence of alcohol, which resulted in a serious accident with damage to public infrastructure and, subsequently, a withdrawal from the media. From there, she was harshly criticized by internet users, canceled by brands, and abandoned by contracts. But what few knew is that, behind the scenes, her mental health was already extremely fragile, and the avalanche of hate only made everything worse. In 2024, the situation worsened even more with the emergence of rumors involving Kim Soo-hyun. Videos and theories began to pop up on social media suggesting that the two had maintained a relationship when she was still a minor. The story went viral with impressive force. Even without concrete evidence, the speculation was treated as truth by many users, and Kim Se-ron's name returned to the top of trending topics, but this time with an even heavier burden. Immediately, she began receiving a new wave of attacks, insults, and public humiliation. While Kim Soo-hyun denied everything, she remained silent. Some fans tried to defend her, but the internet seemed to have decided her fate. The pressure kept building up. People close to her said she isolated herself, cut contact with many friends, and had expressed exhaustion in the face of constant judgment. On the day of her death, Kim Se-ron left no note, left no explanations. She just left. The repercussion was immediate and brutal. For the first time in a long time, South Korea stopped to reflect on the way it treats its artists, especially the younger ones. Several celebrities published emotional tributes, some mentioning that they had already warned about digital bullying, but were never heard. The South Korean government promised new regulations to control fake news and cybercrimes. But, as always, the measures came too late. Yoo Ah-in was considered one of the most daring, intense, and authentic actors in Korea. He carried a different aura: intellectual, artistic, rebellious, award-winning career, breathtaking performances, and a legion of fans who saw him as someone above the rigid standards of the Korean industry. But in 2025, this image collapsed for good, and the truth about the actor came to light in a painful and irreversible way. The scandal actually began in 2023, when an investigation revealed that Yoo Ah-in had made illegal and recurrent use of controlled substances such as propofol, ketamine, midazolam, and clonazepam. Instead of occasional use, the reports showed a constant pattern of abuse. The police confirmed that, between 2021 and 2023, the actor had received more than 100 propofol applications in private clinics, which raised serious suspicions about chemical dependency. At the time, he denied the excesses, but the toxicological exams and medical records left no doubt. The public was divided. Some wanted his immediate punishment, others tried to justify the use as a desperate attempt to deal with the suffocating pressure of fame. The truth is that South Korea still treats addiction as a crime, not as a disease. And this was decisive for Yoo Ah-in's fate. The case dragged on for more than a year, until, in July 2025, the final verdict was announced. Yoo Ah-in was sentenced to 1 year in prison with 2 years of probation. The sentence generated mixed reactions. Part of the public believed he should serve time in closed regime. Others said he had already been sufficiently punished with the complete cancellation of his career. Because yes, his career was almost completely erased. He was removed from the series Hellbound 2 from Netflix, where he would be the protagonist. His contracts with luxury brands were all terminated. Several advertising campaigns deleted videos and photos of the actor as if he had never existed. And the film, The Match, in which he starred alongside Lee Byung-hun, had its release postponed for months, reaching cinemas already surrounded by controversy. In interviews following the trial, prosecution representatives made it clear that the objective was to set an example, to show that not even the biggest stars are above the law. But for many, the lesson left by the case was another: the complete inability of the Korean industry to deal with addictions, mental health, and emotional vulnerability of its artists. Yoo Ah-in made mistakes. Yes, he committed crimes. But he was also, in many ways, the reflection of a pressure that suffocates, silences, and pushes people into the abyss. Once again, Korea showed that there is no room for falls, only for perfection or for punishment. Among the most respected young actors in Korea, Korea, Yeo Jin-gu was always synonymous with a clean image. From childhood and historical dramas to the most intense roles in adult life, he built a solid career practically immune to controversies. He was the typical nation's good boy, seen as an example of ethics, talent, and discretion. But in July 2025, just a few minutes were enough to put this reputation to the test, all because of a click. What happened was simple, but caused enormous damage. Internet users noticed that Yeo Jin-gu's official Twitter account was following an adult content page. And more, it was a highly explicit account, focused on international adult content. The account followed and unfollowed the profile in less than 10 minutes. But this time was more than enough for fans, curious people, and gossips to capture the screen and spread the news like a wildfire out of control. In a few hours, the actor's name was among the most talked about on social media, and along with it came jokes, moral judgments, and accusations. Some said he had done this intentionally and then regretted it. Others alleged it had been a mistake by someone on the team. Theories about his dark side began to emerge. The commotion was such that the actor's agency needed to make a statement. The official note said that the profile is managed by a social media staff and that the follow on the adult account was accidental. According to the company, the responsible employee confused the profile with another, and upon realizing the error, corrected it immediately. They also stated that Yeo Jin-gu had no direct involvement in the incident. But, as always happens in these cases, the damage was already done. South Korea is a country with very high standards of public conduct, especially for celebrities. Even though the actor did nothing illegal, the simple fact that his name was associated was enough to stain, albeit temporarily, the image he took years to build. Some sponsors contacted his agency asking for clarification, and others simply decided to freeze future campaigns. The most curious thing was seeing the divided public reaction. A more conservative part made a point of attacking him with cheap moralism, demanding exemplary posture. Another part, especially younger fans, came to his defense, alleging that the fact that an adult man consumes adult content should not be cause for scandal in the 21st century. The issue became a bigger debate about digital privacy, selective morality, and full-time surveillance. In the end, Yeo Jin-gu was not cancelled. His name did not disappear from the credits. He did not lose all contracts. But the episode left a discreet scar on his public image. In Korean musical theater, few names were as respected as John Ho-jun's. Owner of a solid career, he was always seen as a symbol of dedication, talent, and professionalism. But in 2025, John's name left the stages to occupy the headlines, and not for good reasons. What was a specific scandal quickly transformed into a real media storm. It all started when his ex-girlfriend came forward with a long complaint about their relationship. In her account, she mentioned delicate episodes involving aggressive behavior, emotional manipulation, and even allegations of exposure to health risks during cohabitation. She also mentioned physical and psychological impacts suffered throughout the relationship, including an extremely sensitive situation during pregnancy that, according to her, would have been aggravated by intense stress. The repercussion was immediate. News sites and Korean social media began covering the case in real time. With each new piece of information, John Ho-jun's name was being associated with more controversies. Some brands withdrew their support, and theatrical contracts began to be preventively suspended. The actor, in turn, spoke out denying all allegations. He said the version presented was distorted and that he would take legal measures to protect his image. The situation generated an enormous public debate. On one side, there were those who demanded justice and accountability. On the other, there were those who asked for caution in the face of such serious and complex accusations. International media also began following the case, highlighting the impact that scandals like this have on the perception of Korean culture outside the country. The most shocking thing of all was the transformation of the public figure. John, previously respected, came to be viewed with suspicion, even before any judicial conclusion. Even professional colleagues avoided commenting on the case, fearing association. And once again, Korea found itself facing the dilemma between preserving the image of its artists and dealing fairly with delicate accusations. Park Sung-hoon, known for starring in popular dramas and successful plays, faced an embarrassing episode in early 2025 involving his official social media account. The actor, who participated in the second season of Squid Game, ended up generating reaction by posting, by mistake, an image from another profile that made indirect reference to adult content parodying the famous series. The post appeared on his Instagram story, and even after being deleted within minutes, it had already been captured by internet users and shared on forums and social media. The situation quickly spread, and Park's name returned to the center of comments. many questioning the responsibility of celebrities and care with accessed content. The actor's agency clarified that the episode was a mistake. He received the image by direct message and intended to send it for internal review, but ended up posting by mistake. Park published a public apology, admitting the error and stating that there was no intention to offend or cause harm. He also said he was deeply sorry for what happened. Even treated as something specific, the incident had consequences. He withdrew from some interviews, canceled participation in scheduled events, and avoided public exposure for a few weeks. The media speculated about the impact on his career and reflected on the pressures to maintain an impeccable image. Among fans, there were those who defended Park, remembering that the error did not involve illegality or direct explicit content. Others, however, asked for more reflection before public figures interact with any type of sensitive material. The debate extended. Digital surveillance, personal responsibility, and professional limits were topics raised on networks. In the end, Park continued working and without formal cancellations, but the episode served as a warning. In the digital age, even a momentary slip can become a case of national repercussion and test the thin line between privacy, public image, and reputation.